Hi there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I'm bringing you another Global Monthly Video Hop. So once a month, myself and demonstrators from around the world do videos based on a theme to share with everyone. And this month's theme is Casing the Catty. So we're all doing projects based on ones that are in the annual catalog from Stampin' Up! The May to April, May 2025 to April 2026 annual catalog. And so we will be showing you how to make some of the projects inside the catalog. So if you don't know, CASE means copy and share everything, or it also can stand for copy and selectively edit. So Stampin' Up! And the demonstrators like to share everything. They love to share their ideas, and one way we do that is by changing up other ideas that we see, whether it's from Stampin' Up! Itself or other demonstrators. Now, before I forget, in the description below, I will list the product numbers and names of everything that I show you in today's video. So if you wish to purchase anything, contact your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Or if you're in New Zealand and don't already have a demonstrator, you're welcome to go to my website, michellekritchley.stampinup.net, and you can contact me that way or order directly through my shop on the website and have it sent straight to your house. I will also have links for everybody else that's participating in this month's Global Monthly Video Hop, so you can see other things to case. Hopefully we don't copy the same projects, but usually we end up with completely different things. I don't think we've ever had the same thing that we've made. Sometimes we use the same suites, but that gives you an idea of different things to do with those products, as well as get to see other demonstrators' way of making things. So I am going to, in the catalog, I chose the, let me find the page, there we go. Sorry about the shaking of the video. So I'm going to show you the Kintsugi Inspirations suite collection. So I'm going to do a card from this suite, which is on page 58 of the annual catalog. But when I'm finished, I've already done several projects from the, where is it? Here's my other tag. I've already cased several projects from the Turtley Cute set. So I'm going to show you some of those items already finished at the end of the video and talk you through how I did those. I'm not actually going to make those cards, but for this one I am going to make a card, and I'm going to case, let's see if I can show you, I'm going to case this card. Now this card here, this time I'm actually going to selectively edit it. So on the suite here, there's some beautiful designer series paper that is specialty paper. So one side has a bit of gold shimmer on it. We've got the stamp set, the Inspiring Imperfections, and then there's also the matching dies for that set. And so the dies, some of them cut out items from the stamp set, like the vases, and you can cut out some of the words there and the flowers. And then there's a few others that cut out elements that you can use in your crafting, which can create either branches or some of the broken bits. So with Kintsugi, that's the Japanese art of repairing things. They don't make it into a perfect repair. They make it, when they repair, they make the repair part stand out and make it special. So quite often when they glue broken pottery together, they will then put gold highlights on the cracks and things, so you can see that it has been repaired and it is still whole again, but you can see that it had been damaged in the past. So the other thing with this is using the embossing folder called Join Together. So this has what looks like the crack throughout the center of it, and then some different design images there, as well as the flower accents. We're going to pop a few of those up on the card. If you turn the page over to page 60 in the catalog, it actually explains how to do some of those projects there. And in fact, if we have a look, it tells you what Kintsugi is. So as I said, it's repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer. So the imperfection is not hidden. So it shows three of those cards how to do them. So this one is talking about using gold embossing for that part of the card. This one is talking about die cutting the designer series paper with the vase and then coloring in the different sections with Stampin' Blends. And this one is explaining the card I'm going to do. So with this, they embossed, so the background there is done in Petal pink embossing, and then they embossed another piece of gold and cut out the lines that were joining everything together, and then put it over the lines that are in the embossed Petal peach. Now I'm going to do this slightly different, because this basically explains how to do it, and you probably don't need to see me doing that. The other thing too is with the gold foil, that's a more expensive paper product, but then if you cut that out, you have all these sections left over, which could be used for another card, which is fine. But I wanted to show you another way that you could do this if you don't have the gold foil. You will need gold embossing powder. And you don't have to do it in gold. You could do it in another color. You could choose, silver or black or copper, anything else you want. So I'm going to show how to do that card slightly differently. So I'm going to selectively edit it by using embossing powder. So let's get started. First, you need a base card. In this case, I'm just using the basic white thick card. So this is half of an A4, so it's an A5 sheet, scored in the center at 10.5 centimeters, folded to give us an A6 size card. So that's going to be our base. Now I've already used the embossing folder, which, let's see, there we go. So it has lots of different designs with the line going through it. So I've already used that to emboss my Petal pink cardstock. The other thing that I need for this is the vase. I've already die cut the vase in the new, what's it called? It's a new in color cloud cover. And for the card, we need to have some of the floral. So I've already stamped and die cut. So there's a die that actually cuts out the flowers in the cloud cover. So I've already stamped and die cut the cloud cover. If you don't have access to that ink, because there was an issue, I don't know if it was just here in Australasia or not, you can use Stampin' Spots and ink refill to get that cloud cover, or even the Stampin' Write pens to do the coloring. And then I've also already gone ahead and stamped the I'm Here For You on a piece of basic white. So that's that one, and the I'm Here For You. I've die cut using the dies, which are not identical to the stamps. So see, that's the smaller die, which is not the same as the stamped images. So you could stamp these images to be branches or to be broken bits on the pottery, and then heat emboss them, or there are dies that do two different sizes. So the larger one, which again, it doesn't, well, that one kind of looks similar. The larger one I did in gold, which will be on our pot, and the smaller one I did in crumb cake, because that's going to be the branch for our flowers on our card. So that's already been done. So we're going to use Versamark now to do the rest of the card. So on the pot, we're going to do a couple of the flowers. So we're going to stamp the floral image and then heat emboss it with gold embossing powder. So I'm just using my embossing buddy that takes off any extra static on the card. And Just going to stamp the image of the flower in a couple spots on the vase. We'll come back down this way. And now I'm going to put some embossing powder on there. I'll just pop it in the tray to make it easier to do. I should have had my powder out ready to go. So the Wow embossing powder in gold. Make sure that's gold and not bronze or something else. And then I'm going to make sure that's sufficiently covered in the powder. Okay. There we go. Now if you have any stray powder where you don't want it to be, this is the time to take your brush and wipe away any of that excess powder. So you see I have a few bits of powder on the edges there. So you can take your brush and wipe it away. Sometimes you can take, if it's really close to the rest of it, you can just take the tip of your tweezers just to get it to release a bit before you heat it up. And I just tap it a bit because it should only stick to where we've stamped the Versamark. Okay, so I'm going to heat this off screen, which will be quite noisy, and come back and show you. Okay, so there we go. It's been heat embossed. Now you see I didn't get all that away at the bottom, but it's been heat embossed. This would also look pretty nice with white embossing, or if you didn't want to emboss it, you could just die cut one of the existing vases from the designer series paper. Okay, so that's simple enough so far. And then we're going to, on the vase, I'll just move this out of the way, we're going to put our crack. So we can decide which way we want to put our crack on there, how we want it to look. Let me see what the catalog showed us. I lost my placeholders, so now I have to search. So the catalog there has got it going through that part there. Actually had more leaves branch on there than I embossed. So you can decide how you want it to go. I'm thinking, I'm just trying to decide. When you do this, when you die cut it, to make it easier on yourself is if you do use adhesive sheet on the back of the gold foil before you die cut it, which I didn't do. However, I'm going to show you that using your Tombow, you can do it quite easily. So I'm just going to put the silicone mat down so you can see it. If you just gently push your Tombow, and just go on to the fatter sections. You don't have to glue the whole thing down, but if you get a blob on there, let's see, come on, focus. There we go. So I got a blob on like the where the sections connect, and then just use the tip. You can just drag it out along the branches. So tip of my tombos quite often gets very messy because I do that. And just drag it out. You don't want it to go over the outside edges, because with foil you will see the glue will stick to the foil and you will see it, okay? Doesn't have to be a whole lot, just enough to hold it in place. And then we're going to gently take that, and I have to remember how I was going to do it. And then just stick it so you got the edges sticking. If they go over the sides, that's okay, because we can just snip it off. Okay. And then you can always use a block, so if you keep pushing on it, you might get quite sticky on your fingers and it keeps pulling up. So quite often I'll just use a block and press, which if you watch my videos and notice sometimes my blocks are very sticky and they have a lot of spots on them, that's probably why, because I use them to do that so I don't get it stuck all over my fingers. Okay, so that's our vase done. And then we can just snip off, turn it over and just snip off the bits that you don't want. So just go around and snip off all those little bits. Okay, so that looks like our vase has been repaired. I'll set that aside. Now we're going to do this differently. I'll just turn that over so I don't have glue. So I'm gonna do my embossing powder on here. Now with when you emboss, you've got the embossed part that will raise up. So like in this side, the raised part is the crack, and deboss is the part that's pushed down. And then on this side, everything else is raised, and the pushed down part is the looks like it's the lines. Okay, so decide which part that you want to do. And actually I think I will do the raised lines because it'll look much better, I think, and easier to do. So rub your embossing buddy all over that so you're not going to get powder where you don't want it to be. And now you need a paintbrush. Now you could use a one of the water painters if you have one that doesn't have water in it already. So water painter, and you could just use one of those tips there, or you could use just any paintbrush that you have. Also, I'm not sure if they still sell them, the blender pens. So this blender pen, I have one side that I use just for white ink and another side that I use for Versamark to dip it in the Versamark. And what you can do here is take your Versamark, and unlike the other ones where you can squish it into the lid, it's not flexible enough. So you need to have a Versamark refill. Pop some dots of your refill into the lid of your Versamark container. Okay. And because I'm doing it on the lid, when I shut it, that's fine because it's just going to add more Versamark to the container we've got there. So I've just got a fine tip paintbrush that I'm going to then pick up some of the Versamark, and I'm going to paint the lines. And I'm just going to paint along the lines, and that means when I put the Versamark on, it's only going to stick. I mean, when I put the gold embossing on, it's only going to stick where I've got Versamark. So I might do this in a couple steps because I don't want the Versamark to dry before I put the powder on. And the other thing is you can actually add more if you find it hasn't come out like you want. So I will do a little bit of this, and then I might do the rest of it off screen so you don't sit around watching me paint. Okay, so just so you see, so that part is painted with Versamark, and that allows it to be sticky, and then I should be able to get the powder to stick to the part that I want. So see the powder's on there. Again, you do get some parts where it goes where you don't want it, so you're just going to brush that off. And now I'm going to go off screen and heat this up, and you'll be able to see that we're going to get essentially the same effect, hopefully, without having to use the gold paper and cut it. So I'm just cleaning up those edges, and I will heat it off screen and come back and let you see what it looks like. So there is the gold. That looks like it's already been used to fix the... So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of it, heat it up, and come back and show you how to finish making the card. Okay, so there you have it. I've heat embossed all the cracks on that embossed section. And then if you have any of the refill left over, don't worry, just close the lid, because if anything, it'll just go back into your Versamark. So let's put this card together. So let's get my tear and tape. And I like to use tear and tape when I have an embossed section because it's uneven on the back, and using liquid glue doesn't always hold it down evenly. So I'm going to do all the edges with a bit of tear and tape. And you could use any background card. I think in the actual picture, the base card was Petal Pink, but I just decided to go with basic white. Now you can decide which way up you want your embossed piece to go. So essentially this is double embossed, so it's dry embossed and heat embossed. So we could put it this way, or we could put it that way. Now I like that way because it looks like these branches are going upward. So I made it the exact same, if I haven't already mentioned, I made the piece the exact same size as the front of the card base, which is 148.5 by 10.5 centimeters. So you don't have any background showing. You could do it slightly smaller if you want it to have make it look like there's a bit of a mat in the background. It's up to you. Okay, so that's our base done. And now I'm going to layer things up. So, according to the picture, so we're going to layer up the vase or vase, however you want to call it. I'm going to put some dimensionals on there. And I'm not going to put them too close to the top because I'm going to have my sprig coming through the top of that. So, got our dimensionals on. Pop those bits off. And then, because we have a lot of space here showing, that's where I'm going to put the vase. And I'm going to put it right about there. And then we're going to have our sprig. So, again, just a little bit of glue on this one. Same technique I showed you before, just find the fat corners of it. And you could just do a bunch of little dots. I don't know if you can quite see. if you squeeze the Tombow very gently, you get little dots. Some people think that too much comes out from the Tombow, but if you practice with it, just gentle squeezing, you can usually get the correct amount. And it takes a lot of practice. I mean, I've been out using this glue for, I think, 8 years or so. And when I started, yes, I used to make big messes, big blobs. And a little goes a long way, so you don't need a lot of it. Other glues, you quite often need to use quite a lot to get everything to stick in place. So if I put this kind of like there, I can then use the tips to create my little flowers. And I'm just going to give a bit of shape to the flowers by using my knuckles in the palm of my hand, just because it looks too flat otherwise. And for this one, I'm going to use the mini dimensionals because they're small images. And I'm just going to pop some on either side. Start with the big part, which it fits perfectly into the big flower. Oop. And then I might just cut some of these in half or just cut little sections off. I quite often use my dimensionals in halves. So I just cut straight through a half. So I'll cut straight through. Oh, come on, focus. I don't know why I'm having trouble with the focusing on this. There you go. So some of those are halved. So grab the halves. Doesn't want to come apart. And stick it on one side. I had longer fingernails last week and they all broke off, so now I'm trying to learn how to work with shorter fingernails. Okay. And you can just use the tip of your scissors if you want to peel off those bits, but I find just bending the paper back is sufficient. So we'll just make it look like they're hanging off the edges of the branches. So those pieces are quite interesting because they can either be branches or they can be cracks that you're mending, or they could be something completely different. I'm just wondering, do I want this to go? Yeah, picture shows it like going upward. And this one we will just go like that. There we go. Not exactly how the picture has it, but close enough. Okay, so that's that part, and all we need to do is add our words. So they just did them straight, but I'm gonna, yeah, I think I will just do an angle on them. Just to do something different. And again, some dimensionals. One on either side. And that, I believe, is our cased card done. And I will show you the catalog, and you can decide which you liked better. Now, this I just realized I'm going to put it up here, and this is sticking up higher, so I'm going to add another dimensional on top of one side, double dimensionalize it, and that way, if you haven't done this before, so one side has 1 and one side has 2, because I've already popped this up, so that's just going to give me about the same height, because if I stuck with 1 on either, it's not going to go that high. The other option would have been to do 1 on this side and glue that straight down. So there you go. I hope you like that. Nice and gold and shiny. The Kintsugi way of doing things. And let's have a look at the catalog. So there's the catalog. Oh, I forgot my gold gems. That's what I'm missing. And here's my version. And I might pop some gold gems on there. So gold gems are nice to just put flower accents, gold flower accents, just pop wherever you want. So I will just put 3 of them on here. Pretty one there. And then a couple small ones. Just to cluster around those flowers. There we go. Okay, so that's my version. So let me know in the comments which version you like better, and which technique you would prefer to do. And if you've already done this, I'd love to hear what you thought. So this way I didn't have to emboss another piece of cardstock. And if we have a look, we can see whether theirs was on the... No, theirs was the same way. So I was checking whether it was debossed or embossed in the background. So mine looks a bit more vibrant, probably because the way the colors, the lighting was. But those are definitely the same colored cardstock. Now, I promised to show you some other cased items. So back to the turtles. So on page 50 in the catalog, there's all those turtles there. Now, the backgrounds, the lovely backgrounds, are part of the designer series paper. So if you see that piece there, you actually have 4 scenes that you can cut out that are perfect size for cardstock. And so that's how they did those images there. And we'll leave this so you can see it. That's the catalog cards. And here's what I came up with. There we go. So that was there, and I cased these a while back, so that's why I wasn't doing it on video this time around, because I've already done them. So there we go. So that's the, I fussy cut the turtles out of there and put, this is the back side of one of the pieces of paper. Same background, only difference is the one in the catalog had the balloons, which you can die cut or you can stamp, and you can die cut out of the paper or you can stamp them. So there's my version, and I just put some of the music on the inside. This one with the garden, here we go. I've got my turtle, again, I fussy cut him. The birds, there's a die to cut those, so I was able to use the die to cut the birds out. I fussy cut some flowers. On this one, it only had the 2 birds, and it says, here for you always, I chose the sweet friend message. And then on the inside, I have hope your birthday is turtly awesome. And with some of the flowers, there's a die that cuts those flowers. You can either stamp or die cut them from the paper. So those are those 2. Then the garden one there, I use the garden background. Again, I fussy cut the turtle out, die cut bits down here, and I went with the word hooray in green, and I added some gems to the flowers in the background. So that's that picture there. Then I went rogue on this beach one here. I'll show you a close-up of that. So that's the beach one. We got 3 turtles there. It's okay to take it slow, having a beach scene with the sandcastle and the crab. I did the sandcastle, my crab's over here. I've only got 2 turtles. So I've got the one with this, you can fussy cut them, and there's different directions. So the fussy cut turtle I had was facing this way, so that's why I placed it there. And this was on the side of the paper. So sometimes at the side of the designer series paper, you don't have full images. So I took advantage of the fact that I didn't have the full turtle, did a little slit in the water and made it look like he's swimming in the water. But this piece didn't have the full turtle, whereas on the paper you can actually die cut the entire turtle, but I don't like to waste paper. And then just to show you one that another background image. So it's that scene there. This time I did, it's okay to take it slow, but I fussy cut the turtle on his bike, and I did it so he can slide back and forth. So I have a double slit there that he's sliding back and forth on. So there is another card. So that just shows you different ways you can copy things from the catalog. You can come up with your own ideas. You can just make exactly what you see in the catalog, or if you don't have all the bits and pieces, make up your own, or come up with different ideas to make it look like what's in the catalog. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Make sure you click on the links below to go to the other videos. Give me a thumbs up, and I'd love to hear your comments, especially if you like the embossing for this one, or if you thought the cutting the gold paper would have been a better idea. Thanks so much. Talk to you next time. Bye.